Welcome to Alien Watchers, where we dive deep into the mysteries of the universe, exploring thrilling stories of space races, alien civilizations, and humanity's place in the cosmos. If you've enjoyed the ride so far, buckle up. This journey is far from over. Join us as we uncover the unknown, one story at a time. The vastness of space stretched out like a dark, infinite ocean, dotted only by distant, twinkling stars. But today, the stars were dim compared to a singular event about to shake the entire universe, the Great Galactic Race. This was no ordinary race. It was a battle of speed, intellect, courage, and grit. The winner wouldn't simply be the fastest, but the one who could survive the most perilous stretches of space. The starting line was on the planet Sci-Fi, a world carved from the very fabric of the universe's edge, where reality itself seemed to bend. Thousands of spectators from across the galaxy were watching via holographic feeds, their eyes glued to the vast screens showing the racers preparing. The engines of the ships hummed with power, their immense strength capable of pushing these advanced spacecraft to speeds approaching the speed of light. In the midst of the chaos, Liam Foster, the captain of the human team, stood at the helm of the Striker 7, the flagship of humanity. His crew, a group of elite astronauts and pilots, stood behind him, focused and ready for what lay ahead. But even Liam couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment. The eyes of the universe were upon them. A win here would mean more than just a victory in the race. It would prove that humanity had a place in this galaxy of strange, unimaginable beings. The countdown began on the ship's monitor. 5 minutes to launch. Liam clenched his fists around the control panel. The Striker 7 was designed for speed, equipped with the most advanced propulsion systems and cutting-edge defensive technology. Yet, despite the incredible technology, it would take more than just power to win. It would take strategy, skill, and the courage to face the unknown. The other ships in the race weren't just machines, they were extensions of the beings inside them, beings from far-flung corners of the universe. Vrak Kalan, a massive and menacing figure from the Nyrak species, stood aboard his sleek, nearly invisible warship. Vrak was known throughout the galaxy for his combat prowess, having crushed countless enemies in battle. His species was known for their impenetrable exoskeletons made of metallic scales harder than diamond. His glowing red eyes scanned the galaxy, ready to strike. Then there was Jex Zephron, a brilliant pilot from the ice world of Arcturus. Her ship, a sleek silver craft, was designed to slice through space with razor precision. Jex herself was from the Arcturians, a species of slender beings with glowing, translucent skin and piercing white eyes that shone with an otherworldly light. Her long silver hair glimmered like stardust in the blackness of space. She had already proven herself in countless races, but today she had her sights set on Liam Foster. No one could defeat her, or so she thought. And then there was Shirtok from the mysterious planet Zyphar. Shirtok species, the Zypharans, were unlike any other. Their bodies were transparent, like glass, their limbs long and spindly, resembling eerie tendrils of energy rather than solid flesh. They communicated through pulses of energy, and their ships were capable of harnessing dark matter itself. Their ability to manipulate the very fabric of space-time was a terrifying advantage. As the countdown continued, Liam's mind raced. These weren't just opponents. Each of them was a deadly force, capable of annihilating him and his crew in a matter of seconds if they made the wrong move. 5 seconds, the voice on the intercom announced. Liam felt the ship hum beneath him as the energy from the engines powered up. "Ready, team?" he asked, his voice steady but filled with the excitement of the challenge. The crew responded with a unified cheer. They had trained for this. They had prepared for this moment for years. "Let's make history," Liam said, his voice sharp with resolve. "We win this, not just for us, but for everyone back home on Earth." The holographic display of the race course flickered as the countdown reached 0. 3, 2, 1, go! The roar of engines filled the silence of space as all the ships shot forward with a deafening blast of power. Liam's hands gripped the controls as the Striker 7 rocketed into the void of space. The G-force pushed him back into his seat, and the stars outside stretched into streaks of light as the ship accelerated past anything the human race had ever achieved. But Liam knew that the initial burst of speed wouldn't be enough. To win this race, he would need more than just raw acceleration. The course was littered with dangerous obstacles, fields of asteroid belts, black holes, gravitational anomalies, and the most treacherous of all, the unstable nebula, where the very fabric of space-time could tear apart a ship in seconds. As the race progressed, it quickly became clear that this wasn't just about who could go the fastest, it was about survival. Jex Zephron had already taken an early lead, her ship darting ahead with surgical precision. But Liam was close behind. Vrock Callan's warship, though heavy and slower, was no less dangerous. He fired an energy burst from his ship's cannon, aiming at a competitor who had dared to get too close. Shirtok, too, had the advantage of the ability to phase in and out of visibility, leaving trails of warped space behind his ship. But Liam had something none of them did: human ingenuity. He turned the Striker 7 sharply, entering a nearby asteroid field, where the chaos of rocks and debris would give him cover from the other racers. The move was risky, but Liam knew he could navigate it better than anyone. Come on, Liam muttered under his breath, his fingers dancing over the control panel. The ship moved with almost supernatural precision as he dodged an incoming asteroid, narrowly avoiding a collision. Behind him, he could hear the familiar hum of Jex's ship and the deep growl of Vrock's warship. Just then, an unexpected event took place. Shirtok's ship shimmered out of existence for a split second, reappearing just inches away from Liam's Striker 7. The sudden appearance of the alien ship startled Liam, but his instincts took over. Without missing a beat, he activated the ship's phantom cloak, a device capable of distorting the space around them, rendering the Striker 7 temporarily invisible. He could feel the ship's systems humming in overdrive as the cloak engaged. The sensors flickered and showed a readout of Shirtok's movements, but there was no sign of his ship. Liam couldn't afford to waste time. Almost there, Liam thought as he pushed the ship forward, praying the phantom cloak would hold long enough for him to escape Shirtok's reach. With the finish line rapidly approaching, Liam could see the massive shape of the unstable nebula looming ahead. The gravity wells around it were unpredictable, and any ship foolish enough to fly too close would be pulled into the chaos of the nebula. It was the ultimate test of a pilot's skill and nerves. Liam glanced at his crew. "Ready for the final stretch?" he asked, his voice calm despite the growing tension. "Ready, Captain," came the unified response. And with that, they plunged into the heart of the nebula, where the final battle for victory would unfold. As the Striker 7 raced forward, the vast expanse of space stretched out before Liam Foster and his team like an endless, dark canvas dotted with distant stars. The hum of the ship's engines filled the cockpit, but all Liam could focus on was the race ahead. Every move, every decision was critical now. Behind him, the other ships were closing in, their engines screaming through the silence of space. Liam could feel the tension building in the air. Every ship in this race was a force to be reckoned with, and every pilot had a reputation to uphold. First was Jex Zephron, a name that carried weight across the galaxy. She was an Arcturian, a member of the Arcturians, a race known for their intelligence, precision, and unmatched skill in navigation. Jex herself was the epitome of this legacy. Tall, slender, and glowing with ethereal beauty, she had silvery blue skin that shimmered like the moonlight, and her translucent eyes held an unsettling, piercing clarity. Arcturians were not just skilled pilots. They were mathematically gifted, able to calculate and predict the most complex of trajectories with ease. Jex's ship, the Vaporium 9, was a work of art. It glided through the cosmos like a whisper, cutting through the fabric of space with unmatched grace. The ship was equipped with state-of-the-art ion thrusters, which allowed it to maneuver with extreme agility and at unimaginable speeds. Her engine's hum was almost imperceptible as it shifted direction and accelerated without hesitation. To most, Jex was the favorite to win the race, and for good reason. Her precision was unmatched, and her mind operated like a computer. But of course, she was not the only one to fear. Vrock Callan was the next contender. The mere mention of his name sent a chill down the spines of those who knew him. A Nirak, his species stood nearly 10 feet tall, their muscular frames covered in thick, armor-like scales of dark red and gold. Vrock's face was a mask of rage and stoicism, with sharp, elongated features and piercing yellow eyes that seemed to burn with the fire of countless battles won. He was the type of warrior who preferred to speak with his weapons rather than words. Vrok's ship, the Annihilator, was as intimidating as its pilot. It was a heavily armed warship built for raw power and destruction. The Annihilator was equipped with ion cannons capable of tearing through the hulls of smaller ships, and its energy disruptors could create shockwaves that destabilized space itself. The ship's bulk and the constant hum of its engines gave it the presence of a predator in space, always lurking, always ready to strike. Then, there was Seer Tak, a member of the Sci-Fi, a race so alien it defied logic. Their bodies were transparent, like glass, and their limbs resembled long, spindly tendrils of energy rather than solid flesh. Sci-Fi could manipulate the very fabric of space, bending it to their will. Their ships, too, were unlike anything the human race had ever seen. The Phase Strider was capable of phasing in and out of reality, allowing it to become invisible at will or phase through physical objects. Seer Tak himself had no visible face, just a shimmering, glowing form with vast, translucent limbs that extended like the tendrils of some otherworldly jellyfish. His ship, like its pilot, seemed to hover just beyond the boundaries of perception, phasing in and out of sight. The sheer mystery of his presence was unnerving to the other pilots, especially as his ability to manipulate space itself made him a formidable force in the race. The tension among the racers was palpable. Each of these beings had fought and conquered worlds, bested the strongest enemies, and dominated entire galaxies. Yet, despite their prowess, all of them knew that this race would not be like any challenge they had faced before. "Start your engines," Liam said calmly, although his heart was racing. He knew that in a few short moments the course would turn into a battlefield. The stakes were higher than ever before. A victory here meant more than just bragging rights. It meant asserting humanity's place in the universe. The race began as the countdown reached 0. 3, 2, 1, go! With that, the ships shot forward, their engines roaring to life in a display of power. The Striker 7 surged forward, cutting through the vacuum of space with incredible speed. But Liam was far from alone. Jex Zephron was already on his tail, up her ship, cutting through the void like a blade through silk. As they entered the first leg of the course, an asteroid field littered with massive spinning rocks, the battle for position began. Jex pulled ahead with ease, weaving through the asteroids with the elegance of a dancer. Her calculations were flawless. "I won't let her get too far ahead," Liam muttered, activating the stealth thrusters of the Striker 7 to briefly mask his ship's presence. But before he could make his move, a sudden blast from behind shook the ship. Vrok Kalan had fired a graviton bomb, sending shockwaves through the asteroid field. The force of the explosion pushed several asteroids into Liam's path, forcing him to dodge and weave in order to avoid a collision. "Damn it!" Liam cursed under his breath, narrowly missing an asteroid that came hurtling toward him at breakneck speed. He quickly recalibrated the ship's trajectory, steering toward a cluster of smaller asteroids to use them as cover. But just as he thought he'd gained some distance, Seer Tak's ship phased into view right beside him, the Phase Strider shimmering out of the void like an apparition. The ship's sudden appearance startled Liam, and for a split second, he lost control of the Striker 7, narrowly missing another asteroid. "You can't outrun me," Seer Tak's voice echoed in Liam's mind through a strange telepathic connection. "I am the master of this space." Liam grit his teeth, focusing all his energy on staying ahead. "I don't need to outrun you," he muttered, activating the phase disruptor on his ship, which created a temporary disruption in space, distorting Seer Tak's perception of the Striker 7. For just a moment, Seer Tak lost track of Liam's position. Taking advantage of this, Liam shot forward, gaining precious meters in the race. But as he looked back, he saw Jex Zephron already ahead, using her ship's advanced quantum stabilizers to navigate through the next stretch of space, a dangerous zone filled with gravitic anomalies. Jex was ahead, but Liam wasn't far behind. As they neared the next obstacle, the Nebula of Lost Stars, a region of space so dense and turbulent it could tear apart any ship that wasn't perfectly tuned, Liam realized that this was it, the final stretch. It would take every ounce of skill, luck, and strategy to make it through. The course had tested them all, but it was about to get far more dangerous. "Time to make my move," Liam said, eyes narrowing. The Nebula of Lost Stars loomed ahead, its swirling mass of colors and energy creating a cosmic storm that could tear apart any ship unprepared. The dense clouds of ionized particles combined with pockets of unstable gravitational fields made this region one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy. It was a place that few navigated without losing more than just their way. But today, it was the final stretch of the Great Galactic Race. Liam Foster gripped the controls of the Striker 7 with white-knuckled intensity, his eyes fixed on the approaching storm. It was impossible to see through the nebula. The swirling gases and violent gravitational anomalies made it look like a violent hurricane of cosmic debris. Every pilot knew that this was where the race would be decided. The question wasn't who could go the fastest, it was who could survive the longest. "Keep your wits about you," Liam muttered under his breath. "The nebula is a beast, but we can outmaneuver it. We just have to stay ahead of the pack." His crew nodded in unison, their faces serious but determined. They had been through countless training simulations, but nothing could truly prepare them for the chaotic beauty of the nebula. Behind them, Jex Zephron was already adjusting her ship's quantum stabilizers, the Vaporium 9, moving with the grace of a comet through space. Jex was known for her incredible precision and composure in extreme conditions, and she was making the nebula look like a playground. Her ship swerved effortlessly between the magnetic fields, leaving the other racers struggling to keep up. But Liam wasn't about to let her take the lead so easily. The Striker 7 was designed for agility, and he knew that if he could just get close enough, he could take advantage of the phase cloak to hide from her sensors and throw off her calculations. "We're almost there," Liam said, flipping a switch that activated the stealth drive. For a few seconds, the ship's signature faded from all sensors, making it nearly impossible for Jex to track. He took a deep breath, steadying himself as he followed her into the swirling chaos of the nebula. The Annihilator, piloted by Vrock Callan, was no longer in sight. The Nyrak warship was built for brute force and heavy armor, and while it wasn't as nimble as some of the other ships, its firepower was legendary. Liam knew Vrock wouldn't go down easily. The warship had already laid waste to smaller ships in the first leg of the race, but now in the nebula, Vrock would be at a disadvantage. His sensors would be constantly disrupted by the magnetic storms and gravitational shifts. "I know you're out there, Vrock," Liam muttered, his hand moving deftly over the controls to adjust the ship's trajectory. He was right to be cautious. Vrock's attacks were always sudden, deadly, and unpredictable. Suddenly, there was a flash of light from behind, the telltale glow of Vrock's plasma cannon. A burst of fiery energy shot past Liam's ship, narrowly missing him. The shockwave rocked the Striker 7, sending a jolt through the entire vessel. "He's still in the game," Liam said, grit in his teeth. "Let's show him what we're made of." Liam's focus sharpened. The ship's phase cloak flickered as the energy drained from it, but the Striker 7 was already in motion, darting and weaving between gravitational anomalies. The space around them seemed to twist and contort as they moved through the nebula, the magnetic fields distorting the very nature of time and space. Jex's ship was ahead now, but Liam was closing the distance. The Vaporium 9 was fast, but it lacked the rugged flexibility of the Striker 7. Liam knew that the key to winning here was not speed. It was adaptation. The nebula was a place of unpredictability, and the best pilot was one who could react to the unexpected. Jex's ship zoomed through the thick plasma clouds, gracefully dancing between the flashes of dangerous lightning. Liam, however, was right on her tail, his ship maneuvering with a ferocity that only a human pilot could achieve. "I need to get closer," Liam thought as he watched the gap between them narrow. He knew that Jex's calculations were almost perfect, but she couldn't predict every move. There was still a chance for him to strike. Then, out of nowhere, a ripple of distortion spread across the nebula, and the very space around them began to tear. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was the power of Zyrtok's ship, the Phase Strider. Zyrtok's ability to manipulate space-time was unparalleled. His ship wasn't just moving through the nebula, it was warping the fabric of reality itself, creating pockets of altered space where things could be seen but not touched, or felt but not heard. The entire field of stars around them began to warp and stretch. Space folded in on itself as Zyrtok's ship phased in and out of reality, becoming momentarily intangible before appearing in another location, as if skipping through time. It was a terrifying sight, and for a moment, Liam's ship seemed to flicker in and out of the nebula's distorted space. No one can keep up with him, Liam thought, feeling a flash of frustration. But as the phase strider phased again, it left behind a ripple of energy that distorted the surrounding space. Liam saw his opportunity. With a quick flick of his wrist, he disengaged the phase cloak and engaged the magnetic pulse drive. The Striker 7 surged forward, its hull vibrating with the energy from the pulse, which was designed to neutralize distortions in space-time. As Zyrtok's ship phased again, he appeared just in front of Liam, but the pulse from the Striker 7 threw off the alien's calculations, creating a split-second window for Liam to capitalize on. With a surge of adrenaline, Liam pushed the Striker 7 forward, flying through the pocket of disrupted space and slingshotting around Zyrtok's ship. He glanced at his sensors. Jex was just ahead, now caught between him and the chaotic warping of Zyrtok's ship. Now's my chance, Liam thought, a glint of determination flashing in his eyes. As they neared the heart of the nebula, the lights of the nebula's charged clouds began to pulse in rhythmic patterns, signaling the approach of the final stretch. The gravitational anomalies grew stronger, and the ships were forced to make their final move. The Striker 7 rocketed through the swirling clouds, gaining speed. Jex had made a tactical error, trying to navigate a shifting gravitational current. For a moment, her ship wavered. "This is it," Liam whispered to himself, adjusting the controls to push the ship to its maximum velocity. He could feel the strain in the ship's hull, but it held steady. The Striker 7 was built for this, made for moments like this. As they broke through the edge of the nebula, Jex Zephron's Vaporium 9 was still ahead, but barely, and Vrock Callan's Annihilator was nowhere in sight, his ship likely disabled by the chaos of the nebula. Zyrtok, meanwhile, had vanished into the void, his ship disappearing into the folds of space. Liam's heart raced. This was it, the last leg of the race. The edge of the nebula of lost stars was a place of silence. The chaotic cosmic storms that once surrounded them had dissipated, leaving a void of blackness stretching ahead. But despite the calm, the air inside the Striker 7 was electric with tension. Liam Foster could feel it in his bones. This was the last stretch, the point where everything would be decided. Through the cockpit window, Liam saw the course ahead. A series of gravitational anomalies, asteroid fields, and broken space-time rifts that seemed to ripple in the darkness. It was a gauntlet that had claimed many ships before. Those who navigated this final stretch had to be more than just fast. They had to be fearless. Behind him, Jex Zephron was right on his tail. Her Vaporium 9 was sleek and fast, like a predator closing in on its prey. The gap between them had closed to mere meters. And though Liam had managed to make up some ground in the nebula, it was clear that Jex wasn't going to give up easily. Liam couldn't afford any more mistakes. He had to stay focused. Vrock Callan, the deadly warrior from the Nyrak species, was a threat, but his ship had fallen behind, perhaps damaged during the nebula's violent gravitational shifts. Zyrtok, the eerie Zypharon manipulator of spacetime, had disappeared in the folds of his reality-bending maneuvers. But Liam couldn't be sure if Zyrtok had simply hidden in a nearby temporal fold or was waiting to pounce at the most unexpected moment. The ship's alarms blared, pulling Liam back into the present. Gravitational anomaly detected. The message flashed across the screen. He quickly analyzed the data. The graviton turbulence in front of them was intense. Ships could easily be pulled into the anomaly and torn apart, their structural integrity shattered by the immense forces. It was a place where the laws of physics twisted and bent, and where time could literally move in reverse. Jex was already adjusting her ship's trajectory, her ship's quantum stabilizers humming with purpose. She had no doubt planned for this very moment. But Liam wasn't going to let her have an easy win. He punched in the commands for the Graviton Pulse Disruptor, a risky move, but one that would allow him to push through the turbulence and disrupt the gravitational pull at the critical moment. "Liam," a voice crackled in his ear, "the Graviton Disruptor might tear through the system. Are you sure?" It was Ava, his chief engineer. He didn't have time to think about it. "Do it! Now!" Liam commanded. Without hesitation, Ava activated the disruptor, sending a wave of energy through the Striker 7. The ship trembled as the gravitational forces around it began to bend and twist, but Liam felt the ship push forward with renewed momentum. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was the only one he had. As the Striker 7 pierced through the anomaly, the ship's hull groaned under the stress, but they managed to break free, just as Jex Zephron's Vaporium 9 veered dangerously close to the anomaly's pole. Ahead of them, the final obstacle appeared, a massive asteroid field. The rocks were enormous, with sharp, jagged edges, and they were moving at different speeds. Some floated lazily in space, while others spiraled in erratic, unpredictable orbits. This was no ordinary asteroid field. It was a deadly labyrinth of rock, debris, and danger. To make it through, the pilots had to be more than just fast. They had to have perfect control. "Ava, prepare the quantum stabilizers for immediate adjustment," Liam ordered. His hands flew over the controls, readying the Striker 7 for the delicate navigation ahead. His sensors beeped, showing that Jex was already in position, her ship darting through the asteroids with fluid precision. Liam gritted his teeth. Jex had the advantage in maneuverability, but he had something she didn't, the element of surprise. "Time to go on the offensive," Liam muttered under his breath, watching as the asteroid field loomed closer. Suddenly, a massive asteroid careened toward him, and instinct took over. He spun the controls to the left, narrowly avoiding a collision. The ship shook violently as smaller debris scraped across the shields, but Liam didn't falter. He adjusted course, anticipating the next challenge. Behind him, Jex was catching up, her ship weaving effortlessly between asteroids. But just as she neared, a large tumbling asteroid appeared out of nowhere, a deadly obstacle in her path. She swerved, pulling her ship hard to the right, but the force of the maneuver caused her to miscalculate her next turn. She clipped a smaller asteroid, sending her ship into a spin. For a brief moment, she lost control. "Now's my chance," Liam thought, his heart pounding in his chest. With incredible precision, he activated the hyperboost thrusters, launching the Striker 7 forward with explosive speed. The ship blasted through the asteroid field, dodging rocks with agile movements, each twist and turn designed to avoid the dangers around him. His ship flew like an arrow, cutting through the chaos with purpose. "I can't let this opportunity slip by," he thought as he neared the last stretch of the asteroid field. Then, just as the finish line came into view, a sparkling beacon of victory in the dark expanse of space, a strange feeling washed over Liam. He looked up at the screens, his fingers still hovering over the controls. His heart skipped a beat. Sheertalk's ship, the Phase Strider, was back. The ship materialized from the folds of space, appearing as though it had never left, moving with the eerie silence of a specter. Sheertalk was back in the race, but this time he wasn't taking chances. The Phase Strider moved in and out of reality, its form flickering as it phased between planes. "Sheertalk," Liam growled. "You're not getting away this time." With no time to waste, Liam pushed the Striker 7 to its limits, his mind focused on the finish line ahead. But just as he thought he had a clear shot, Sheertalk's ship phased into his path again, and for a split second, the Striker 7 almost collided with the warped space. "Get out of the way," Liam shouted, slamming his fist down on the controls. But the Phase Strider had already begun to phase out again, vanishing just as quickly as it had appeared. Liam was fast, but Sheertalk had the advantage of bending space to his will. But Liam wasn't going to give up. "I'll beat you," he said through clenched teeth. The finish line was in sight, yet it felt as though the galaxy itself had conspired to slow Liam down. The Striker 7 surged forward, its sleek frame cutting through space like a living organism, weaving between the final remnants of the asteroid field. The shadows of the nebula had long faded, but the tension was unbearable. The race was about to reach its climactic end, and with every passing moment, the stakes grew higher. Behind him, Jex Zephron's Vaporium 9 was catching up once again. The Arcturian pilot had regained her composure after the brief mishap in the asteroid field, and now her ship was a blur of grace and precision. She wasn't just fast, she was deadly efficient. Every move she made was calculated, her every maneuver designed to get the maximum efficiency out of her ship's advanced systems. The gap between them had narrowed to a mere few hundred meters. The battle for first place was far from decided. "Come on, Striker 7, Liam muttered to himself, the words barely escaping his lips. "We're not going down without a fight." His fingers flew over the controls, adjusting the ship's velocity and shield configuration, focusing entirely on the next challenge, a hyper-compressed gravitational zone. This zone was notorious for its ability to warp both time and space, creating a field where the normal rules of physics no longer applied. The ships had to navigate through this treacherous region without getting pulled off course or worse, obliterated by the intense gravitational forces. "Ava, prepare for the shift," Liam called out over the comms. "Ready, Captain." Ava's voice came back, steady and calm, even though Liam could tell she was as anxious as he was. Suddenly, his ship lurched, and the entire cockpit was filled with a low, eerie hum. The Striker 7 had entered the gravitational zone. Time seemed to slow down as the ship was pulled and twisted like a leaf caught in a storm. Liam gritted his teeth, concentrating on the precise inputs required to keep the ship stable. His hands shook, but his mind remained focused. He could see Jex's ship ahead, weaving smoothly through the gravitational distortions. She was handling the turbulence with an almost unnatural ease. "She's good, but I'm not out of this yet," Liam thought, pushing the Striker 7 harder. Ahead, he saw the first of the gravitational anomalies, a massive, invisible force that could pull the ships into a destructive spin. Liam had only seconds to make his move. With a sharp turn, he maneuvered the Striker 7 to the left, narrowly avoiding the pull of the anomaly. The ship trembled under the strain, but it held together. He glanced at the rearview screen and saw Jex following close behind. She, too, had evaded the anomaly, but the gap was now smaller. If he didn't act fast, she'd be right on top of him. As the Striker 7 approached the next anomaly, Liam knew what he had to do. He activated the quantum flux drive, a high-risk maneuver that would allow the ship to momentarily phase through the gravitational distortions, bypassing the worst of the turbulence. The ship's hull vibrated as the drive powered up, and a field of shimmering light enveloped the craft. The Striker 7 shot forward, its form blurring for a fraction of a second before it reappeared, safely on the other side of the gravitational distortion. He had made it through, but he could feel the burn of the maneuver. His shields were dangerously low. "Nice move," came Jex's voice over the comms, breaking the tense silence. "But you're not winning this yet, Foster." Liam's grip tightened on the controls. "We'll see about that." Only a few kilometers remained before the ships reached the stellar bridge, a structure made of cosmic energy that spanned the entire sector of the galaxy. This bridge was the last test, a final stretch where the ships would have to navigate a narrow corridor of unstable space. Any ship that couldn't maintain its trajectory would be sent tumbling into the void. Jex's ship surged ahead, but Liam wasn't about to let her claim victory. "Not this time," he muttered. Sirtok, who had once again phased back into visibility, appeared suddenly in front of them, his phase strider materializing like a ghost from another dimension. The eerie, translucent ship flickered in and out of existence, its presence both disorienting and terrifying. Liam had thought he was alone in this final stretch, but Sirtok's appearance made it clear that the Zypharan pilot was just waiting for the right moment to strike. His ship phased in and out, creating temporal rifts in space, and Liam could feel the fabric of reality bending as the phase strider approached. "Sirtok," Liam growled, "you want to play dirty? Let's see who has the last laugh." Liam adjusted the ship's energy output, maximizing the engines and shields for a final burst of speed. He activated the tachyon cannon, a specialized weapon designed to send out a short-range pulse that could disrupt the space-time field around them. With the press of a button, the tachyon cannon fired, sending a pulse of energy directly at Sirtok's ship. The energy blast created a ripple through the space around them, causing Sirtok's ship to flicker out of existence for a moment. It was just the opening Liam needed. He veered hard to the right, dodging the phase strider and shooting toward the stellar bridge. The shimmering energy bridge appeared before him, and he pushed the Striker 7 to its maximum capacity, racing toward the finish line. Jex was right behind him, still a few seconds away. She was close, but not close enough. The stellar bridge loomed ahead like a wall of pure light, a gateway to victory. The narrow passage was filled with energy beams, and ships had to navigate carefully through the fluctuating lanes of light. It was the final test of skill and precision. Every pilot had to be on the edge of perfection to make it through. Liam's pulse quickened. The ship rocked as he passed through the first layer of energy beams, narrowly avoiding them by a hair's breadth. He could hear the hum of the Striker 7 as it screamed through the corridor, the lights of the stellar bridge flashing in the dark void. Jex's ship was still behind him, but she was gaining. He could feel the intensity of her pursuit. "Not this time," Liam muttered under his breath. "Not today." He flicked the switch for the final burst acceleration, forcing the ship's engines to produce an insane amount of energy. The Striker 7 surged forward, rocketing through the bridge with unbelievable speed. Jex was too far behind to catch up. Liam had made his move, and there was no turning back now. As the finish line loomed before him, the Striker 7 burst through the final barrier of energy. The ship shot into the open space beyond, its thrusters firing in one final surge of power. "Victory!" Liam screamed, his voice echoing through the cockpit. He had done it. The crowd's roar of applause reverberated across the galaxy as the Striker 7 crossed the finish line, leaving behind the other competitors in a cloud of cosmic dust. Liam let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. He had won, not just for himself, but for humanity. The Striker 7 drifted through space, its engines winding down after the final burst of speed that had sent it past the stellar bridge. The hum of the engines, the tremors from the race's final push, slowly faded into a satisfying silence. Outside the cockpit, the stars were distant pinpricks of light, a calm contrast to the intensity that had just unfolded. Liam Foster leaned back in his seat, his hands still gripping the control panel as if he were afraid to let go. He had won. But it wasn't the rush of victory that flooded his veins. It was the weight of the moment. The knowledge that this race, this victory, meant something much bigger than himself. Humanity had just claimed its place in a galaxy dominated by strange, ancient beings, proving that the human spirit was every bit as formidable as any alien race. But with that victory came an overwhelming responsibility. Liam took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. The Striker 7 was still intact, the shields holding steady. His crew was quiet, exhausted but relieved. They had done it. They had beaten beings with powers and abilities that defied comprehension. The Nyrak warrior, Vrock Kallan, was still missing in action, his warship never making it through the final stretch. Jex Zephron, the nearly perfect pilot from Arcturus, had been bested by a last-minute maneuver that no one had expected. And Zhirtok, the otherworldly being with the ability to manipulate space-time itself, had been caught off guard by Liam's gamble with the tachyon cannon. "We did it, Captain," Ava, his chief engineer, said softly, her voice tinged with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Liam didn't respond immediately. His eyes were fixed on the stars outside. It was hard to take it all in, to realize that they had actually won. "We did," he finally replied, his voice a little hoarse. He turned to face her. "But it's not over yet. There's more coming. There always is." Ava smiled, the exhaustion evident on her face, but there was a spark of admiration in her eyes. "That's why we're here, right? To face it all." Liam nodded, feeling the weight of the responsibility settle around his shoulders. "Yeah, we're here to face it all." The Striker 7 was soon joined by several other ships, all of them coming in to congratulate the crew for their stunning victory. It wasn't long before the communications console crackled to life and a familiar voice came through. "This is Admiral Sloan," the voice said, strong and commanding as usual. "Liam, you've done it. You've won. You've shown the galaxy that humanity is no longer just a footnote in the history of the cosmos. You've made us proud." Liam's expression softened, but his mind was already back on the next challenge. He had known this moment would come, the moment when the weight of their victory would be overshadowed by the questions of what came next. "Admiral," Liam said, his voice steady. "We've won today, but there's still a lot we don't know. A lot we haven't seen." "True," Admiral Sloan replied, his tone acknowledging the weight of Liam's words. "But don't underestimate the power of this victory. The entire galaxy has seen it. Humanity is no longer a hidden entity in the dark corners of the universe. You've earned our place." Liam let the words hang in the air for a moment. He knew the Admiral was right. Humanity had earned its place, but they had also made powerful enemies along the way. The Nyrak, Sci-Farans, and others would not forget this loss. They would remember who had bested them. "What do you need from us now?" Liam asked, his voice returning to business. "For now, take a moment," Admiral Sloan said. "You've earned it, but the war is just beginning. The race might be over, but the true struggle for humanity's place in this galaxy is only starting. Be ready. The real challenges are ahead. Liam didn't respond. He didn't need to. He had already known what would come next. Captain, a voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Jex Zephron. She appeared on the comms screen, her expression cool but not without a hint of respect. I must admit, I didn't think humans had it in them, but you've proven us all wrong. Liam raised an eyebrow but didn't respond right away. We didn't just win, Jex, he said after a pause. We survived. She smiled, though it wasn't an expression of triumph, more like an understanding between two skilled pilots. Perhaps that's what sets you apart. You don't just race to win, you race to survive. There was a moment of silence as the words hung in the air. I'll see you at the next race, Jex added, her tone softer. Humanity is a force to be reckoned with. We'll be watching. Liam nodded, his mind already turning to the future. We'll be ready, he said, his voice firm. We'll always be ready. As the communication ended, Liam sat back, his eyes flickering toward the stars once more. The victory was sweet, but it was only the beginning. In the vastness of space, where alien species with their own motives and powers waited, he knew this moment of glory would fade fast. There was a galaxy to be shaped, a future to secure, and humanity, his crew, his people, had just taken the first step. The Striker 7 glided effortlessly through space, its hull now marked by the scars of the race. Liam Foster sat in the cockpit, staring out into the blackness of the cosmos. The stars were a comforting sight, a reminder that the universe was still as vast and unknown as ever, but there was no comfort in what lay ahead. They had won the race, they had proven humanity's strength to the galaxy. But the victory felt hollow now, as if it had been snatched away by the very uncertainty they had fought to conquer. Admiral Sloane's words echoed in his mind, "The war is just beginning." The galaxy was watching, but so were those who had been defeated, and their defeat might not sit well. We've made enemies today, Liam thought to himself, his eyes narrowing. The question is, how far will they go to make us pay? As he sat in silence, a sudden ping from the communication console snapped him back to reality. It was a secure message, marked for him personally. The sender's name appeared on the screen, Admiral Sloane. His stomach tightened as he opened the message. Liam, the message began. I hope you're taking the time you need to recover, but I need to bring something to your attention. The victory in the race wasn't just a victory for humanity, it was a declaration, one that hasn't gone unnoticed. We've received intelligence that several alien factions, including the Nyrak and Zypherans, have formed a clandestine alliance. They've called it the Council of Shadows. They believe humanity's victory was no accident. They believe that Earth's strategic position in the galaxy, along with your ability to maneuver through the race's challenges, signals something far more dangerous. This council is already planning its retaliation. They believe we've tipped the balance of power, and now they're making moves to counter us. You and your crew are now at the center of this threat. The Nyrak are gathering their fleets, and the Zypherans are looking for ways to sabotage humanity's technological progress. They'll stop at nothing to see us fall. Prepare yourself, Liam. Humanity has earned its place, but we will be tested more than ever before. I'll be in touch soon with more details. For now, stay alert. The storm is just beginning. Admiral Sloane's words weighed heavily on him. The reality of their victory had set in. This wasn't just about a race. It was about survival. There was a power struggle underway in the galaxy, and humanity, with all its newfound strength, had become a prime target. Liam let out a breath, his mind racing. The Council of Shadows, he murmured, running a hand through his hair. I knew it was too easy. Nothing comes without a cost in this galaxy. The crew of the Striker 7 had gathered in the ship's briefing room. Their faces were tired but determined. It had been a long, grueling journey, but they were starting to realize that their race had only been the beginning of something much larger. Liam stood at the front, looking at his crew. The map of the galaxy flickered on the screen behind him. The coordinates of several enemy fleets appeared, Nyrak, Zypherans, and other factions they didn't even know existed. We've made a name for ourselves, Liam began, his voice steady but filled with a sense of urgency. But that comes with a price. The victory we just claimed has made us a target. The Council of Shadows has already begun to move against us. They believe our win wasn't just a fluke. They think we're a threat. He paused, letting the weight of the situation sink in. He could see the looks of resolve on the faces of his crew. Ava, Caleb, the weapons specialist, Tara, the communications officer, and Eli, the pilot who had come to think of the Striker 7 as a second home. They had all been through a lot together. But this was new. They're not just going to sit back and let us run wild, Liam continued. We've made enemies with some of the most powerful races in the galaxy. The Nyrak and the Zypherans are already mobilizing. They're looking for ways to cripple us, and they'll do anything to get us off their radar. Ava, ever the realist, spoke up. So what's our plan? How do we fight back against a coalition that can tear us apart? Liam turned to the map, his fingers brushing the holographic projection of the galaxy. We don't know everything yet, but we need to be proactive. We need to fortify our position, gather more intelligence, and make alliances of our own. He paused, his eyes narrowing. We can't afford to wait, our enemies won't, and we need to start thinking beyond just defense. This is a test, Eli spoke up. The young pilot had a determined look in his eyes, a spark of defiance that had always set him apart from others. If we've made it this far, we can take the next step. We're not just going to sit here and wait for them to strike first. We'll hit them where it hurts. Liam smiled grimly. I like the way you think, Eli. Where do we start? Caleb asked, his hand resting on the table as he leaned forward. Liam turned back to the map. First, we need to know what we're up against. I'll contact Admiral Sloan for more information. We'll begin by finding out who the real players in this Council of Shadows are, and then we make our move. As the crew began strategizing, the ship's sensors detected something, a faint blip at the edge of the system. A signal moving toward them. Captain, Tara said, her voice a mixture of curiosity and concern. We're picking up an incoming transmission. It's not on any known frequency. Liam's heart skipped a beat. Can you trace it? Not yet, but it's coming from deep within the Zypharan-controlled sector. The signal is encrypted, but it's definitely not a standard communication. Liam turned to his crew. Prepare for anything, he said, his voice cold and resolute. We might be getting a visitor or a warning. As the ship moved toward the signal's origin, the crew fell silent. The impending sense of danger loomed over them, each member of the crew feeling the weight of the galaxy's uncertain future pressing down on them. But there was one thing Liam was sure of. They weren't backing down. Not now, not ever. Humanity had earned its place, and no one was going to take it from them. The Striker 7 cut through the void, its engines humming steadily as it neared the source of the mysterious signal. The crew was tense, their eyes glued to their consoles, each of them wondering what kind of message or threat awaited them. The signal was erratic, flickering in and out, as though it were trying to get their attention, but was struggling against some kind of interference. The longer they chased it, the more the feeling of unease grew. Any luck tracing the source? Liam asked, his voice calm but with an edge of urgency. Tara, his communications officer, was working furiously on the console. I've got it locked in now. It's coming from the edge of the Zypharan territory, near the Lunar Nebula. The signal is encrypted, but I'm getting some partial translation. It's not a standard military channel. Liam frowned. A civilian message, then? Or something more covert? Tara hesitated for a moment, her fingers pausing over the holographic keyboard. I think it's something in between, Captain. It's almost like a distress signal, but there's something off about it, like it's intentionally masking its true intent. Prepare for anything, Liam said, his voice resolute. We're going in. The ship moved steadily toward the coordinates. The lunar nebula loomed in front of them, a massive, shimmering expanse of cosmic gas and dust that hid a deadly array of hidden traps, spatial rifts, gravitational anomalies, and ancient remnants of alien technology that had been abandoned long ago. The Zypherans were known to control the area, but no one knew exactly what lurked in the darkness beyond their territories. Liam knew this was a risk, but there was no turning back now. I'm picking up an energy pulse, Ava, the ship's engineer, said as she monitored the power readings. It's faint, but it's definitely something. Liam leaned in closer to the console. Is it coming from the signal source? Yes, Captain, Ava replied. But it's not just any energy signal. There's something old about it. An artifact of some kind. It's likely emitting from a derelict station or ship. Liam's gut twisted. The Zyfarans didn't leave anything to chance. Their control over space and technology was unmatched, and they would never let something of this nature go unprotected. "We need to be careful," Liam said, his voice stern. "We're not walking into a friendly zone. Prepare for immediate extraction once we've gathered the intel." The crew nodded, a quiet tension building as the Striker 7 passed through the outer layers of the lunar nebula. As the ship entered the nebula, the atmosphere shifted, space around them darkened, and the once familiar hum of the ship now seemed eerily distant, like they were entering a void. "We've got visual contact," Eli, the pilot, called out. There's something out there. A ship, a derelict freighter, it looks like. It's not responding to our hails." The sight on the screen confirmed their worst fears. A massive Zypheran freighter, half destroyed, drifting aimlessly in space. The hull was charred and scarred as though it had been through a violent battle, but there was no sign of any crew. The freighter had been abandoned, or worse, destroyed. "Bring us in closer," Liam ordered, his voice tight. "Let's see what we're dealing with." The Striker 7 moved forward, carefully approaching the wreckage. As they got closer, a loud ping sounded on the ship's sensors. A small, almost imperceptible signal was coming from within the ship, faint but persistent. "It's from inside the ship," Tara reported. "We've got something or someone still there." Liam's hand tightened on the console. "Prepare to board. We'll need to get inside and investigate." The airlock cycled open and the crew suited up. Liam, Ava, and Tara led the way as they boarded the derelict freighter. The interior was eerily silent, the dim emergency lights casting long shadows in the corridors. The walls were lined with strange, alien technology, sprawling circuits and interfaces that hummed faintly, as though they were still alive. "It's a graveyard," Tara whispered as they moved deeper into the ship. "What happened here?" As they turned a corner, they found it, the source of the signal. A single dimly lit room with a central console that pulsed with light. It looked like a control room, but there was no sign of life, no crew, no guards, just the faint pulse of energy from the console. "There," Liam said, pointing to the console. "That's where the signal's coming from. Let's find out who sent it." He approached the console and pressed a button, and a holographic message flickered to life. The image that appeared was a figure, sheer talk. But this wasn't the Zypharan they had seen during the race. This one was older, more ragged, and his eyes were filled with an unsettling intensity. "This is a warning," the hologram began, its voice eerily calm. "The Council of Shadows is coming. You have proven your strength, but this is only the beginning. They will strike soon, and they will not be merciful. The only way to survive is to unite with those who know the galaxy's true history. Find the Nexus." Liam felt a chill run through him as the message ended. "The Nexus," he whispered. "What the hell is the Nexus?" Tara glanced around, her face pale. "Whatever it is, it's something they don't want us to find. Something important." As the crew stood there, stunned, the ship's alarms suddenly blared. The emergency lights flickered and the Striker 7's sensors went haywire. "Captain," Ava shouted, looking at the readouts. "The freighter's reactors are going critical. We've triggered something." "Get to the airlock," Liam barked as the entire ship began to shake violently. "Move now." The crew sprinted through the narrow corridors, making their way back to the airlock. Behind them, the Zypheran freighter's core was beginning to destabilize. The entire ship was about to explode, and they had no time to waste. As they made it back to the Striker 7, the derelict freighter detonated with a massive, blinding burst of light. The shockwave sent the Striker 7 tumbling, but Eli's quick reflexes kept them stable. The ship rocketed away from the explosion, the violent force of it rattling the hull. Liam looked out of the viewport, the remains of the Zypheran freighter burning in space. He felt his heart pound in his chest as he realized the gravity of their situation. "We've just scratched the surface," Liam muttered, eyes fixed on the smoldering wreckage. "The real war is about to begin." Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this adventure, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Alien Watchers. Stay updated with our latest content and continue exploring the wonders and dangers of the universe with us. Until next time, keep watching the stars.